combination of factors have negatively aggregately led to the almost hopeless position Nigeria has found herself as regards her crude oil prospects. The discovery of crude oil in exportable quantities by Britain and Norway in the North Atlantic has seriously affected the value of Nigerian crude, and the direct consequences of which is that we have lost key customers in the international oil market, with the attraction for Nigeria's crude drastically waning by the day. Today, Nigeria exports less crude than budgeted, a very precarious situation for a country like ours, whose economy is heavily dependent on oil. Crude oil theft, or oil bunkery, embarked upon by some unscrupulous elements, has dealt untold havoc on the economy. Things have become so bad that all sectors of the economy, private and public, are groaning under the burden and yoke of difficulty in meeting statutory obligations. Even with the bailout grace granted state governments by the federal government, workers are still being owed arrears of salaries. Most employees have had to be relieved of their employment. To undertake a contract on credit for any government is the most risky thing to do, in view of the fact that contracts executed previously, whose values run into trillions of naira, are yet to be serviced. The federal government is finding it increasingly difficult to repay external debts as and when due. The only alternative left to explore to take Nigeria out of the present quagmire of oil crisis in which we have found ourselves is to look beyond oil. After a thorough analysis by leading economists and financial experts from the hindsight of a deep understanding of the Nigerian economy, the prognosis returned by all of them is that of a bleak state of affairs that may even get worse if some quick steps are not taken to redress the situation. With a quickly expanding population, technological catch-up, and rising investment, Nigeria is expected to become one of the top 10 global economies by the year 2050. The paths to follow to achieve this include fiscal diversification by increasing non-oil revenues, improved tax collection. The reports that Nigeria is 181 out of 189 countries of the world as regards the ease of paying taxes should nudge the authorities to broaden tax compliance to include most of the informal sector of the economy. Economic experts posit that a weak business climate is terribly holding back the country's growth potentials, with the infrastructure deficit, epileptic electricity supply, and corruption posing particular challenges. Diversification through development of value addition across the agriculture and downstream petroleum sectors of the economy will reduce the pressure on foreign exchange. Attention should be paid to Nigeria's top 4 food imports: wheat, sugar, and fish, which will play very significant roles in the diversification of our economy from oil. As part of its social responsibility intervention initiative in contributing its own modest quota to seeking for solutions to issues of national concern, the Yoruba Tennis Club organized a lecture recently. The well-attended lecture, which took place at Greetings Hall of the Yoruba Tennis Club, was themed Presentation of Nigeria, Looking Beyond Oil, a report prepared by PricewaterhouseCoopers and Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in which renowned economists and financial experts diagnosed the immediate and remote causes responsible for the downward slide Nigeria's oil fortunes had been experiencing over the years. The lecture had in attendance the chairman of Yoruba Tennis Club, Mr. Ayodele Martins, who was supported by the vice chairman, Professor Adetokunbo Olusegun Fabanwo, vice patron, trustees, and past chairman of Yoruba Tennis Club. Chief Femi Okunu, chairman board of trustees of Yoruba Tennis Club, was supported by past chairman and trustee of Yoruba Tennis Club, Dr. Abayomi O. Fini, Chief Folari Koka, as well as other members of the club. The special guest of honor at the lecture was Chief Mrs. Nike Akonde, CON, President of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and a formidable team from PricewaterhouseCoopers, which included Dr. Andrew S. Nevin, Partner and Chief Economist of PricewaterhouseCoopers, Nigeria, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, Partner and Head Tax Regulatory Services, PwC, Nigeria Limited. The discussants include Mr. Tola Mobolorin, Chairman of Capital Bancorp PLC, and Mr. Cyril Azobu, who is the Head of Mining and Solid Mineral Sector of PwC. Prince Bambo Ademuluyi, a member of the Yoruba Tennis Club, who is an Greek engineer and chairman of the committee that put together the lecture, did the perfect filling in for Dr. Sanginga, Director General of IITA Ibadan, who was unavoidably absent. Renowned economist and top banker Mr. Babatunde Dabiri moderated the panel discussion at the lecture. The event, which was compared by Brother Prince Bisi Olatilo, who is a member of the Yoruba Tennis Club, began with the welcome remarks by the chairman of Yoruba Tennis Club, Brother Ayodele Martins, a 1978 graduate of the University of East London, England, where he obtained his first degree in law. In 1984, he graduated with first-class honours from Cambridge University, called to Bar of England and Wales in 1986, before enrolling as a solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria in 1992. Mr. Ayodele Martins is the first Nigerian managing director of HFP, the renowned engineering conglomerate, experts in building and construction.
Whichever way you look at it, oil is definitely a very topical issue. And therefore, when the opportunity came as part of our regular lecture series at the Yoruba Tennis Club to give prominence to this issue, we grabbed it with both hands, and we believe that you are in for a very informative and eye-opening time at the Yoruba Tennis Club today.
The president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Chief Mrs. Nike Akonde, CON, a renowned accountant, economist, industrialist, and chairman, Nepad Business Group, is an alumnus of the prestigious Harvard Business School and International Institute of Management Development, life vice president of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, is most suited to guide discussion at such fora. She gave her very useful insight, explaining why the LCCI collaborated with PricewaterhouseCoopers in the formulation of the issues surrounding the report, Nigeria, Looking Beyond Oil, which was to be scrutinized and diagnosed at the lecture. Chief Mrs. Nike Akonde traced how the decline in the oil sector began and emphasized that Nigeria's economy can only bounce back if the areas to be diversified into are properly prioritized. The areas include agriculture, solid minerals, petrochemical refining, and manufacturing. She congratulated Yoruba Tennis Club for the foresight behind the lecture.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have neglected our non-oil sector for too long. For instance, we are blessed with abundant deposits of solid minerals, which had remained largely undeveloped over the years. We have rich deposits of gypsum, tantalite, bitumen, coal, gold, bylite, iron ore, gemstone, and many more, just to name a few. This is the time to pay close attention to this sector. A minister has been appointed to really work on it, and we hope that very soon we will soon benefit from this. It is also very important to look at the fiscal side of diversification and cost effectiveness. Our revenue base needs to be better diversified. Our tax revenue to GDP ratio is low. We need to improve on the efficiency of tax administration at all levels of government.
Quickly, the lecture swung into session with the presenters, panelists, and discussants ready to begin to address the issue at hand from their different perspectives. The session was moderated by Mr. Tunde Dabiri, incidentally a member of the Yoruba Tennis Club, a seasoned banker who is currently the chairman of Lagos State Pension Commission and member of the Governing Council of the Nigeria-India Chambers of Commerce and Industry. The first presenter was Dr. Andrew S. Nevin, partner and chief economist, PricewaterhouseCoopers Nigeria. In his presentation, Dr. Andrew drew from his vast experience, a well-recognized global co-leader of PricewaterhouseCoopers with well-grounded academic laurels, which include PhD in economics from Harvard University, MA in philosophy and politics from Oxford University, where he studied as a Rhodes Scholar, in addition to a BSc degree in computer science and mathematics. Dr. Andrew S. Nevin is an internationally renowned authority on redefining financial services, trends, business, and economic modeling from a global perspective. Dr. Andrew S. Nevin said that 2.3 million barrels of oil produced daily, which amounts to about 750,000 million barrels a year, compared to the population of Nigeria, which is about 175 million people, is most inadequate. Dr. Andrew S. Nevin considers the huge foreign exchange expended in the redefining and exportation of oil as a heavy burden on the economy.
In Nigeria, we have the lowest tax collection of any nation I'm aware of. I was told this morning when I was with another tax colleague, in Afghanistan, they collect 11% of GDP in tax revenue. In Nigeria, that number is 8%. But in fact, it's much worse than that, because of that 70%, a little less now, but 70% of the tax revenue collected is based on oil and gas. If we actually look at the non-oil and gas tax revenue, the numbers between 2.2 and 2.5% in 2013. That is a woeful performance. People didn't pay their taxes, they didn't receive the services. But it's good news for us because it means the tax revenue can be increased dramatically. And we don't see at PwC any issue with the indebtedness of the country on that basis. The other issue is just our fiscal position at the moment at a debt level. Again, Nigeria is in a very good position. The total debt in Nigeria is 13% of GDP. In developed world, it's over 100%. Sub-Saharan Africa averages 30%. Many developed countries are 60–70%. Nigeria has the fiscal headroom to be able to borrow, and if it makes the right decisions, the right investments, do very well. So I said before, we thought all the macro issues were solvable as we move into this diversification. We can't rely on oil, but our FX is solvable, our fiscal situation is solvable.
Next to take to the podium was Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, who is the head, Tax and Corporate Advisory Services of PricewaterhouseCoopers Nigeria, the world's leading professional services firm with presence in well over 150 countries around the world. Taiwo Oyedele is a thoughtful leader and prominent speaker on key accounting and tax issues, an ardent advocate of tax reform with particular emphasis on tax simplification and transparency. Taiwo Oyedele is a Fellow of the Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Fellow Chartered Institute of Taxation, founder and president of Impact Africa Foundation, which supports the education and sponsorship of the less privileged children from primary to tertiary level. Mr. Taiwo Oyedele posits that Nigeria must be properly positioned to earn foreign exchange receipts and revenues from various sectors of the economy other than oil. He harped on proper taxation as a fundamental prerequisite of generating revenue and growth in the economy. He cited the success of Lagos economy, which he predicated on the great strides made on taxation, which he advocated to be replicated across all states in the country.
So diversifying our economy means not only in terms of the component of our GDP, we must be able to earn revenue for government from different sectors other than oil, and we must be able to earn foreign exchange receipts from sources other than oil. Given that we import everything, including pineapples, they say pineapple from Benin Republic is better than the one of Lagos. I even think that our DNA and our mindset needs to be diversified. So we start thinking more broadly and patriotic, so that pineapple in Lagos is good. We should not be importing fabrics. We should not be importing toothpicks. Okay? So because our demand for foreign exchange is far more than what we're able to receive, we are in crisis. Even the deal with China, in my view, is not going to solve our problem. If you don't produce, it doesn't matter in which currency you have to pay, other than your currency, you'll still be in crisis. So these are fundamental issues we must deal with. When you look at tax to GDP ratio, like Andrew said, it used to even be about 8% as of 2014. It's gone down now to around 3%. Tax to GDP ratio, Ghana is doing 20-21. South Africa is doing 25%. So this is not about America or the UK. Even our neighboring countries that are just as poor as we are, or maybe as rich as we are making more from tax revenue. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics just released the report of tax revenue collection by all the states in Nigeria. And all the 36 states plus the FCT collected 680 billion naira in the whole year. About 40% of that, 280 billion, was collected by Lagos State alone. In fact, Lagos State collected more in taxes than 32 other states combined. In other words, Lagos State collects more than all the states in Nigeria, excluding Delta State, excluding Ogun State, and excluding Rivers State. If you take out Rivers, Delta, and Ogun, Lagos collects more than all the others combined.
Mr. Tunde Dabiri began by taking an overview of the subject, Nigeria looking beyond oil, and gave his own insights.
We thought it was best to have discussants who would take certain key industries that were highlighted in this study. We wanted someone to talk on mining, because it's one of the new things we've got to do, and we've got to do well. We really have comparative advantage in mining. Then we wanted the head of IIT in Ibadan to come and talk about agriculture. I think everybody knows here that, even because of the size of agriculture to our GDP, we cannot move forward unless we do something about agriculture. The person we wanted for Agric is not able to make it, so I wonder whether Chief Bambo is now going to be an Agric expert. So he will cover that area for us, because you can't talk about the next stage without a focus on agriculture.
Mr. Tola Mobolori, the chairman of Capital Bancorp PLC, one of the foremost financial and professional services providers in Nigeria. Capital Bancorp, a central bank of Nigeria's multidisciplinary finance home and a member of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Mr. Tola Mobolori was the chairman of the National Association of Securities Dealers. Mr. Tola Mobolori said there is need for change, not just in policies, but in attitude. He suggested that Nigeria should revisit the past development plans which created value and vital linkages amongst the various sectors of the economy.
Even in Britain today, the Prime Minister Campbell is trying to get local governments to relax regulations so that they can start prospecting for shale. Germany has extensive formation of shale. China has. There is shale all over South America. Add to that the discovery of oil along the East African coast, Mozambique, Tanzania, Uganda. and it will give you a picture of what the future of crude oil looks like. We have to move forward. And moving forward means that we have to change. It's not just change in terms of policies and things like that. Even our own attitudes must change. I think we have to do away with some of the profligacy that we are used to. Maybe we need to all imbibe, Buhari's Spartan lifestyle, so that we can save some money and be a little bit more productive. But oil is still useful for us. As has been said, we can use the oil we have to transform our economy. And the earlier we do that, the better, because we are running out of time.
Mr. Tola Mobolori advocated for substantial investments in power because electricity is very central to the success of the economy. Mr. Cyril Azobu is a petroleum engineer and mining specialist with experience spanning over 20 years. He's a partner in PricewaterhouseCoopers and director of PwC's Mining and Solid Minerals Sector Group. Mr. Cyril Azobu has led the auditing of major energy companies, including Shell, ENI, NNPC, General Electric, NLNG, and Owando. Currently, Cyril Azobu is leading PricewaterhouseCoopers on the roadmap for the development of the Nigerian mineral resources and mining sectors of the company as it diversifies into sectors beyond oil. In his intervention, Mr. Cyril Azobu said, with the rich mineral resources with which Nigeria is endowed, the mining sector is one of the areas best suited for Nigeria's economic diversification at the moment. Political will by the federal government is needed now more than ever before to back exploration activities.
It's quite critical, and it also calls us to look inward and have a renewed focus. And so I'm glad that the incidents we're having today are happening so that we could ramp up, the impact that our natural resources, including mineral resources that we have, could, add to our economy. Currently, mining sector at barely 0.3%, 0.4% to our GDP. Compared to South Africa that does currently 18%, Botswana that does 40%, DRC that does 24%, we barely have any significant or meaningful contribution from that sector. And so as part of plans to revamp the economy and diversify economy, I'm really thrilled that the present administration has picked mining and of course agriculture, which we'll hear a bit from later, as part of ways to diversify our economy.
Prince Bambo Ademuliyi is an agric engineer with interest in marine and the downstream sectors of the economy. He is also the chairman of the Nigeria-Ghana Business Forum. He was recently inducted into the membership committee of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Prince Bambo Ademuliyi looked specifically at the gains derivable from the diversification of Nigeria's economy into agriculture and allied sectors. Prince Bambo Ademuliyi, who is an agricultural engineer, praised the agricultural transformation and the growth enhancement schemes of the Jonathan administration, which he advised the Buhari government to build on. Today, Nigeria is the #1 producer of cassava in the world. If the momentum is sustained, by 2030, agriculture will be providing $59 billion to our economy annually from the $10 billion it currently contributes to the economy.
End of their tenure, they set up SPOs, service provider operators, to implement this scheme nationwide. I happen to be the chairman of the committee of SPOs nationwide. And what does that entail? Each SPO has tractors with plows, harrows, ridgers. We have all the implements you need for land preparation for agric. And what you're supposed to do is support the farmer with land preparation, which was done with some cash in the past. But now the equipment are there, and the farmer doesn't have to go look for the tractors. They are provided, at least there are
there are presently 159 SPOs nationwide. That's 159 times 5 tractors, times 5 power tillers, harrows, plows, ridgers, and so on and so forth.
The very vibrant and stimulating interactive session, which involved thought-provoking suggestions from members of the audience, began with the humble submission of former Works Minister under the Yakubu Gowon administration and Chairman of the Board of Trustees of Yoruba Tennis Club, Chief Femi Okunu. The presenters and panelists later took turns to clarify grey areas pointed out by those who intervened and wrapped up with their final submissions.
We need to revive industries, textile industry in Ikeja, in Kaduna, and other industries. I've gained a lot from the discordance with the various aspects which they have enlightened us this morning and this afternoon. So generally, let's make use of the oil we have for home consumption, and whatever products we can make out of it, and also some crude, sell it, because as you've said, shale has taken over oil the whole world.
In summary, it was agreed that Nigeria should take advantage of all the areas yearning for diversification to quickly get a credible alternative or alternatives to oil, the black gold, that single commodity on which Nigeria has depended over the years. The lecture ended with the vote of thanks, which was very ably delivered by the Vice Chairman of the Yoruba Tennis Club, Professor Adetokunbo Fabanwo. Professor Fabanwo is a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist at the Lagos State University College of Medicine Ikeja and an honorary consultant to LASUT. Brother Oba Oduwole, the club's social secretary, guided all members as the Yoruba Tennis Club anthem was taken, with all members on their feet.